Dudes to Dads is a podcast to help men understand and navigate the transition of being a single dude into a family man. How do we make sense of it all? Well, we probably won't be able to, but let's go ahead and have some fun trying.
We are back.
I'm Jason Kreidman.
I'm Alan Bush.
And this is Dudes to Dads. How are you, Alan?
I'm great. This week's been good. Busy. Yeah, a lot going on.
As always.
As always.
We are
perpetually
busy men.
Yeah.
Busy dude, busy dad.
Yeah. I'd rather be busy than not, because I've learned that when things aren't busy,
You get in trouble.
you either get in trouble or something bad's going to happen, or you're not going to have what you have anymore.
Right. It keeps you out of trouble.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
for sure.
Yeah.
So we've had some interesting episodes lately.
Yeah.
Some very passionate episodes. This one is no different.
Okay.
This is a very, very passionate, very close to my heart episode.
Okay.
How to stop your child from whining.
Okay. And naturally,
Did you smell the sarcasm? I mean,
Yeah,
I know
yeah.
we're on audio and video, but you
Right.
can still smell the sarcasm.
I can smell it.
How to stop your child from whining.
Yeah.
So, the secret, or I should say not even the secret, but the answer, you can't.
You can. Okay.
So, that's it. That's the whole show.
Episode. Thanks.
Thanks.
Podcast at dudesadads.com.
Good night. Show is over. We're done. So there is an organization called Hand in Hand Parenting. Okay. Really good organization. This lady, Patty Whipfler, I hope I'm pronouncing it correctly.
Okay.
She had written this article for them, and she's part of their organization. And so this episode was inspired by this article because it talks about how to stop your child from whining.
Yeah.
But it's not so much about stopping your child, it's more about your attitude towards it and how to deal with it.
Yeah.
So, which is really just, we use that kind of title as link bait. For those who don't know,
The 7 ways to blah, blah, blah.
Here's the answer, and the reality is that with most parenting things, it's really about you.
Sure.
As the parent. How do I deal with this?
Right.
How do I act towards it? How do I think about it? What's my approach towards it? It's not so much like, what am I going to make my kid do, or how is my kid going to do this? And especially when you're dealing with a toddler, because that's where really the whining is the biggest.
Yeah.
There's not much you can do from the child's standpoint.
Sure.
It's things that, I shouldn't say this, things that you do to then affect the child.
Right.
And it's so funny because I went through this, my kids are not like this now. There's an occasional line here, but any child is like that.
Right.
But there is a stage from some hit it at 2, some hit it at 3, some hit it at 4, and probably even into 5, where it can be unbearable. I've been around some kids, and the parents are just pulling their hair out, and you totally sympathize with them. And basically, it's like, the advice at the time, before I read this, or before I looked at this, was, just hold on. Like, you just realizing in a couple of years it's not going to be this bad.
Hold on, yeah.
The thing is, when you start to do the research, and you start to, and I will say this time and time again, is like the purpose of the show, self-filling, was I wanted to learn this stuff. This is me going through being a parent, and learning this stuff and becoming a better parent, becoming better so that, I can handle things better. And I so wish I would have done more reading about this, because I didn't. I'll be honest. I just kind of said, I'll just ignore it, or I'll just do this, or I'll just... And this was probably the single most frustrating thing. So looking back, I have no idea why I didn't look it up. I really didn't.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm being honest. It's like, there's so many other things that I looked at.
Yeah.
Of like, how do I do this? And how do I deal with this? And what's the... For whatever reason, I didn't look up whining. And there's this thing called the internet.
Right.
You can search in this web, it's called Google.
Google, yeah.
And you can find
You can
answers.
also use Bing.
You can.
There's
Not that many people do.
I know.
Or
it's
Yahoo.
possible. DuckDuckGo. But it's been around since your kids were born.
The internet.
Yes.
Yes. Yes. The interwebs.
Interwebs have been
as
around.
they call it. And I'm an internet marketing person, so you would think that I might look there
Sure.
first. I'm just as guilty as these other parents who are listening to us.
And maybe it's because it's just a natural thing with kids.
Well, I just thought it's something you deal with.
You just deal with it. That's
Right.
just there is no answer.
Right, like, oh, well, some kids are more whiny than others.
Right. And then that's it.
So basically, that's not the case.
Okay.
Now, I think there are behaviors that parents will do and perpetuate the whiningness, if that's a word.
Sure.
But what we're going to talk about are things that you can do to reduce the whining, but not even, well, it's not even to reduce the whining. It's to understand what's going on and change your attitude about the whining. That's a better way of talking about it.
Yeah.
So the truth and sort of the whole thing about whining is that children are communicating important information for them.
Sure.
They are whining for a reason. We may not agree with the reason, we may not like the reason, but they are whining for a reason. And usually the root of it is, I'm powerless, or I feel powerless, or I feel alone, I don't feel connected to you, whatever. It's something in that vein. That's often the root of it. Now, it manifests itself by like, I want that toy, I want that cookie, I want that, but it's, I want that cookie and I'm not getting it.
Right.
That's powerless.
Sure.
Like that's not having the power to get that cookie.
Yeah.
You know, or that toy. So, and it often will happen after the child feels disconnected to the parent or caregiver. So, as an example, you might go and cook dinner. You could be talking to a friend. Anytime they're not being paid attention to, that's a time when it can strike. And it often does.
Sure.
You know, or you're doing a transition, like you're moving to some place, you're going from one place to another place, something like that. So when they feel disconnected, the small things get big. So that can be getting dressed, which meltdowns, right? Brushing their teeth, having to say goodbye. They'd really rather continue what they're doing and what they're involved in than transitioning.
Right.
You know, so and for whatever reason they're feeling either connected to that situation and they just don't like it and they have no control over it. And so they don't know how to communicate that. So part of it is just kind of understanding that. That alone is a big deal. Like of just realizing they're trying to communicate something. They're not just being an annoying little kid. You know, but when a child is sitting there, I want this, you're just it gnaws at you. So the first step is to realize like it just shouldn't gnaw at you. Like okay, wait a second. They're trying to communicate with me. Asking yourself like, what is it that they're trying to communicate? Right. You know, and trying to get to the bottom of it. So the next thing is realizing that whining children have real needs. So part of it is they want to feel connected to you, and so if they don't feel connected, that's when the behavior goes wild. That's when the behavior will go wacky. And whining children have feelings that won't be rational to us.
Right.
Like I said about the shoes that my daughter had, where to her it was a really big deal. To me it's not.
Right.
But it's hers. That's her deal. And so we have to be empathetic to that. And the feelings can come like at the end of a situation, at the end of even when they're playing, and it can even happen from a time before. It doesn't even have to be right then.
Right.
So it's almost like they're storing up this energy and this upsetness, you know?
Right.
And I love making up words.
Exactly. It'll be a word system.
Similar to this. You know, like we got to have a wall of words or something like that, where I make up syllables and make up stuff. They can be, you know, it can be from the day before, it can be from some other time that you just don't even realize, like, why is this happening? Like, what is this not making sense?
Came out of nowhere.
This came out of nowhere.
Supposedly,
exactly. Realize that the whining children are not trying to manipulate you. They're not doing this to manipulate you at all. They're not trying to, you know, make you feel bad or anything like that. They're just telling you that they need help. That's really what it is. It is really like a cry for help. So you can picture the child saying, instead of, you know, being upset, maybe they're saying like, I want a cookie, and then whining. But they really are saying, even to that extent, please say no. I need a good cry with your arms around me. So part of what this is talking about is that a tantrum or laughter or scream or whatever it is sometimes is required.
Yeah, it's the release of that pressure.
It's the release of that energy.
Yeah.
And so that's a really important thing. So you can help your child connect again, but they're going to need that emotional outlet. Mm-hmm. So you allow them to have that outlet, and you allow them to throw the tantrum, you allow them to just cry and whine or whatever that is, but your attitude is different about it. You're like, okay, they're trying to tell me something right now.
Right.
Instead of you getting pissed off, yelling back at them, get up to your room, trying to discipline them, doing whatever it is, it's not going to work. It might work in the very short term, threatening them, timeouts. There's all kinds of techniques that people will use, and it will work short term, but it doesn't solve the problem. It doesn't solve the problem of allowing them to release that energy and getting it out, and then feeling close to you to be able to do that.
Right.
So, that's why I said the overriding thing is you can't stop the whine. The whine's going to happen. It's their way of communicating. You have to help them communicate.
Yeah, how to deflect it.
And how to...
Or even just
how to let it out.
Yeah.
Let the tantrum happen, it'll subside. Let the cry happen, it'll subside. So you help them, you help them connect again. So if they're going crazy, you can call it crazy, try filling the child's request once. So you're not, you can't be sure it's going to solve the issue or it's going to help you connect them, but it's worth a shot. So help them once. So example, a child might say, I want that toy, or I need help getting dressed, I can't get dressed. So whatever that is, you help them, or you make the attempt to help them once. And you say, okay, let me help you get dressed. No, I don't want to. Okay, you let them. That's obviously not what they need.
Yeah, right.
They don't need you to help them get dressed.
Yeah.
They need to feel connected to you. Mm-hmm. So the manifestation of that is they're getting frustrated at getting dressed, but they need love or emotion or connection or whatever that is. It's really interesting when you take a step back and look at it.
Yeah.
Like, what do they need right now? That's the question you're asking.
Well, I told you about the circumstances before where I said, hey, let me know when you're done being crazy to a friend of mine. And it worked because I didn't understand what she needed at that moment. She was just getting mad at me for almost no reason. It was very childlike in that regard. I had no idea why this person was getting upset with me, but I was like, I have no idea what you're talking about right now. And I said this, I go, let me know when you're done being crazy. I'm going to be able to do work. And for a week we didn't talk, but then the following week, she goes, I'm sorry, I'm being a brat.
Well, yeah, and I can tell you, I can see many instances where I have not probably handled this correctly. Where my kids are whining, and I either ignore, and just completely ignore, and be like, like you said, tell me when you stop being crazy.
Yeah, I didn't ignore it. I'm not gonna go to that level.
Right, but I might even say, hey, you know what? You can go over there, and when you're done, come talk to me. And
right.
That's not what they need.
It's hard to do that with a 5-year-old.
Right, and that's not what they need. They actually needed to feel connected with me, not away from me.
Right.
It's not the distance that's not going to solve the problem. It's going to make it worse.
Right.
But bad attention is better than no attention.
Yeah.
So, like I said, they might, in the short term, it might kind of quelch it a little bit because out of fear or something, but it's not allowing them to release.
Yeah.
So a better situation, like let's say, my child is crying over how they're getting dressed, it might be to just go and hug them.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to talk about how different ways. But it's saying, hey, can I help you get dressed? And it's like, no, I don't need your help. Blah, whatever. I'm just making the situation up. Is to actually then, offer them that, and then if they don't want it, back up, and maybe try something else and try a different approach.
Yeah.
So if they're not satisfied, offer closeness and a clear limit. So let's say, they want something. You might say, no, but then give them a big smile. Say, you know what, no, you can't have that. It's not a smirk. It's a, no, I'm sorry, you can't have that. You're being nice. And even maybe give them a kiss on the cheek or something like that. If they do it again, persist and maybe even give them more affection. Maybe even give them a hug, something like that. At some point, the affection you're offering them will either move towards laughter or a tantrum. Like they might go even more crazy. They might start totally throwing a tantrum. It's just like, don't touch me, but let them go through that.
Yeah.
Just let them. There's kind of making the analogy, but it's like, where somebody's having a seizure
Yeah.
You allow them to have the seizure. You're not trying to constrict them.
Right.
You're allowing them to just go through it. They'll relax. I don't want to necessarily make that kind of comparison.
No, but I get it. Yeah.
In that mentality, the idea of allowing them to have that emotion, let it out, feel it, and it'll eventually subside.
Right.
Just let the wave of emotion come through. And so that's really important. And sometimes, they just need to feel the tantrum or the cry or that emotion, and then they'll feel better again.
Yeah. I always try to figure out, and maybe this is not right of me to do so, but what age are they being manipulative? Because
if they've been taught for years,
Well, yeah, and then so if they're doing this, because I know there's a difference between a 5-year-old and a 15-year-old.
Right.
And a 15-year-old might be
But either way,
whiny. I mean, no, you're right. The circumstances
they need
might
connection.
They still need a connection, but some of them will use that because they're smart enough to understand that, hey, if I do these certain
But either way, the parent's handling it wrong.
I agree.
That means that if
agree.
they're, quote, using it for manipulation, it means that the parent has allowed that to be,
Yes.
allowed themselves to be
A way to
manipulated.
be, yeah, exactly.
So the parent's the one that has to check themselves and be
Right.
like, okay, even if my child is older
Right.
and they're whining and crying and throwing a fit and getting angry, they need something.
Yeah. There's something.
Something's going on.
Yeah.
They're upset. And it's funny, I've asked my kids that where it's like, let's say they're getting dressed for school or something and someone's upset. It's like, oh, would something happen at school? And I'll try to sit there and rationalize it, and that may not be any of it.
Yeah.
The truth is they're just maybe not feeling good right
Yeah,
now.
I was just frustrated.
Right.
Yeah, things.
And they don't know how to communicate.
Right, yeah. I got hormones, I got all kinds of stuff going on, I don't know what to do.
Yeah. Oh, can't wait for that. If you can't be playful, it's just not working, then just be clear on the no, make eye contact, and then maybe make some other kind of contact as well. So maybe it's a hand on the shoulder, and just say, you know what, that's just not going to work right now.
Right.
And you're making contact with them, and they can see that you're listening and that you're attentive to them.
Yeah.
You're not turning the other way and ignoring. It's funny because I'm thinking about it as I'm talking, like, wow, I shouldn't be doing that. Not all the time. I think I handle it sometimes, but I can see where that can be improved.
Yeah.
Of really handling it in a different way.
Yeah.
And then allow for the laughter or tears as long as you have the time and patience.
Yeah.
There are situations where you're like, okay, but we have 5 minutes and we got to leave.
Yeah.
So you may not have that time.
Sure.
So you got to kind of, but if you do, it's at night, it's whatever, like, hey, go ahead.
Yeah,
Whatever
unload.
you need.
Let's do this.
Go ahead, hit the bag.
Yeah, exactly.
They're working through something, let them finish, just let them go through with it. And then listening time can help you keep perspective when the whining begins. So, the whole point of the whining, or I should say the whole gist of it, is that we actually feel helpless. Mm-hmm. And then, like you said, we're often feeling like we're being manipulated.
Right.
So...
Yeah, and that's so funny because I've heard parents, or friends of mine that are parents, kind of think that way about
Mm-hmm.
their child. I'm like, that kid does not understand what you're even saying right now. They just want what they want. Like, you don't feel like...
Or they're hurting.
Or they're hurting,
Right.
and they want attention, whatever it is that they want. It's like you said, it's not necessarily about the toy or about the thing that's not happening for them. It's about that attention that they need from them.
Right.
And for them to think that they're trying to be manipulative, it's like, no.
No, they're not.
If you want to call that manipulative, it's just, give your kid love. That's
Yeah, well, and you're able to utilize, I think the term is, utilize mental preparation. So for us as the parent, you come across these situations, you have to then, go back to the memory bank, to the knowledge base, and go, okay, I remember Jason said this.
Yeah.
It was when the child was whining as a result of it, they need something. Okay, let me think about this for a second.
Yeah.
And kind of look at it and take a step back versus just reaction. I mean, we're all so reactionary.
Yeah.
We do that in our relationships too. It's
Sure.
like taking a step back and being like, why are they upset right now? Like, what is going on?
No,
We can apply all this stuff to the relationship.
No, it's so funny in relationships in the same context with someone thinks because you're not doing something, or if you do something a certain way, that you mean this.
All right.
And I'm a huge person that does not mean anything else but what I'm doing. Like I'm not doing anything subtle manipulation. If I don't like something, I'll tell you
Passive
straight
aggressive.
out. I'm not passive aggressive by any means, but I think people think I'm being manipulative if I don't, or I'm not I'm not being attentive on purpose.
Right.
It's like, no, I'm just busy, or I didn't think about that, or I'm just a jerk. It's okay. Like, I'm not trying to manipulate anything. It's like, I know I'm that straightforward. I just didn't think about it.
Right.
Like, if you get mad at that, fine. But
What you see is what you get.
yeah, it's a WYSIWYG editor.
Right. Hey, that's a good license plate for you. WYSIWYG.
WYSIWYG.
I wonder if somebody has that.
I'm sure someone does, but if they don't, in California, they're not going to take it.
Have that on your business card.
Yeah.
WYSIWYG.
WYSIWYG Incorporated.
So that's, those are kind of the ways to handle it. So I have some, I was reading another thing off parents.com. These are kind of quick and dirty. So this is the quick and dirty version of kind of what we just talked about. So if somebody just wants the real quick tips, because we covered a lot of stuff.
Sure.
Basically, first thing, don't let the whining get to you.
Right.
Easier said than done, but remember it's for a different reason. Second one, teach your child the difference between asking nice and whining. I thought this was a good tip.
Yeah.
So explain in a good voice versus a whining voice.
Yeah.
Explain what those differences are.
Yeah.
Maybe even record the child at those two different times and play it back.
That sounds like something I would do.
Yeah.
Is a record. Remember this?
Totally.
Doesn't sound good, is it?
No, I remember there was a time where, I won't name names, but one of my children was throwing a tantrum and we put a mirror in front of him. Of him, as I give it away. But put a mirror in front, we didn't know we were doing it. Put a mirror and say, what do you think? How does that look? And he stopped right away. I don't know that was the best parenting technique, but it worked at the time.
It does work, sometimes.
I would probably do it differently now. And so play it back. So the third one is, we often do negative feedback. We tell them when they're doing something wrong. Give them positive reinforcement. Yeah. So you know what? Thank you for using your regular voice or your normal voice when you did that,
Yeah, I also like the term that you use, say, tell them what to do right, rather than tell them what they're doing wrong.
Right.
And give them the kind of the clear definition of what right is in your eyes in that context.
Yeah, the positive works well.
Yeah.
And then the fourth thing, be patient, hang in there.
Yeah.
That's the part, from age 2 to 5, it's just...
They're going through stuff.
It is what it is.
Yeah.
They're trying to communicate, and if you have to just kind of take a step back, remember that. I can totally see instances where that would have been very helpful for me. I wish I would have known this information prior to my children becoming 2 years old.
Sure.
I really, really do. I mean, this is so valuable that I think every parent, male, female, mom, dad, everything, can utilize this kind of information, because it helps us, when you understand where somebody's coming from, it really helps you get along with them better.
It holds back to that whole empathy, and sometimes we forget to have empathy for the little people, the children, because they're new at everything.
Yeah.
Everything's new to them, so they're experiencing all these things. They're going through their own emotional...
You expect them to know.
Right.
I mean, you expect them to be doing things for the same reasons we are.
Yeah, it's like, logically you wouldn't do that.
Yeah, how could you care about it? The shoes don't matter.
Yeah, and they're like...
It's not a big deal. Your shirt doesn't... Who cares if your shirt doesn't match? Or whatever. I mean, there's all kinds of things.
I'm 5, it matters. I've only had 5 years to figure out everything.
Absolutely.
And this is my first time encountering this.
Empathy, as Ferris says. I'm going to play that on a loop. So, with that, I think this is a very, very important concept. And for parents to understand that the whining, you really have to take a step back, look at yourself and how you're reacting to it, and that's going to allow you that kind of change in your kid, because your kid is going to whine. They just are. It's not your fault, but you can reduce the impact. And I think, as you said, as they get later in life, that connection with you and knowing that they can come to you, I think that starts to establish that kind of presence too.
For sure,
Which I'll tell you from experience is the best thing in the world. When your child, not the best thing that your child has an issue, but they say, hey Dad, can I talk to you?
Yeah.
And it's just, that's awesome.
The first person they come to when there's a problem, and they want to talk to you about it.
Or mom, I mean, either way. The idea that they feel comfortable.
It'd be funny to I'm glad you didn't go to mom.
Yeah. She's not going to help you with this. I can help
I'm the one who knows best.
No, either way, it feels good when they're saying, hey, I need to talk to you.
Yeah.
And you're not going to criticize them in any way when they come to you. And that's for a later episode.
Sure.
when your child comes to you, or even your spouse, and is disclosing something to you, you know, don't don't get upset.
Don't
Yeah.
too
Otherwise, they're never going to tell you.
Right. You gotta hold.
And that's one to grow up. So with that, Alan, thank you again.
Thank you.
For another fabulous week.
Podcast at dudesdads.com, Twitter, dudesdads, Facebook,
dudesdads.com.
And what else we got? iTunes and Stitcher. You leave some 5-star reviews. That'd be great.
Subscribe.
Subscribe to there.
And then also YouTube. You can subscribe
Subscribe
as well.
Yeah.
Dudes to Dad's channel.
There's all kinds of methods of communication. Please be a part of it.
That's just so beautiful. And with that, I'm going to go whine. All right.
Have a great week.
Take care, guys.